just give a couple of minutes for people to join and then we'll start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just logging.
Hi, Manish. Manish, can you hear us? Manish, can you hear us?
Yeah. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
All fine, all fine.
Yeah. So we'll just wait for another 30 seconds and then we'll start.
Yeah, sure.
Hello. Huh?
So good morning, everyone. And I'll request everyone to keep themselves on mute if they are not talking. And Manish, appreciate if you can start the session.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Uh, this is today we have a special conclave meeting. Meet the experts think tank. A very warm welcome to all participants. Myself, Manish Sanghvi, think tank multidisciplinary global platform. Chapter leader welcomes you all to think tank global conclave for India growth story and meet the expert series covering in detail management think tank, valuation think tank, IBC think tank, financial reporting think tank, RERA cooperative think tank, AFEP, FTESA think tank, IPO think tank, and capital market think tank as a major part of think tank at Vivek.patra. Vivek in Sanskrit means wisdom and knowledge. Patra is an innovative news update containing slides on sharing latest developments and real life examples by CEO, CXO, CFO, specialists, and professionals with a global experience. Today, we have Think Tank Multidisciplinary Global Platform special meeting for all stakeholders in finance, corporate affairs, industry, and profession. Think Tank has been in existence since over a decade. Idea for conceived on 6th January 1991 to have conferences, conclaves with CEO, CXO, CFO panelists, and specialists sharing experiences and real life examples. Our panelists are finance leaders working in reputed companies or professions since many years and have a deep domain knowledge. Think Tank platform, now digital, has got overwhelming response globally on digital mediums and expanding rapidly through LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Our participants and experts have a rich experience in industry profession who have done ICAI, CPA, CFA, CFP, IIM, CA, CS, CMA, ESA, DISA, FRM, IFRS, BTech, Masters, PhD, sharing experiences, knowledge, wisdom, spreading as a reach out initiative globally at www.thinktanks.co.in and in spite of limited resources. Due to overwhelming response to our annual report, corporate strategy and ESG, we have announced 60 awards and recognitions that is profit, people, planet, professionals, promoters, and platforms. For corporate annual reports, analysts,
Oh,
professional achievers,
itu mah.
CEO, CXO, CFOs with a very respected jury with a rich experience in interaction with stakeholders and boards. This the recognition and awards would be announced with a rigorous process of scrutiny and choice and interaction with the participants and would be given digitally and if possible in a well-located auditorium in Mumbai like Yogi Saga Sabhagruha or similar when available subject to the pandemic rules. As participants are aware, recently we have launched a much awaited referencer type of newsletter appropriately titled Think.Tank at Vivek.Patra, India Growth Story, a comprehensive conference material compilation over 600 pages, sharing experiences of CEO, CXO, CFOs, specialists with latest development and series on blocking, regulatory, frauds, financial reporting, Ind AS, IBC, taxation, digital capital markets, technical analysis, ISA, bank audit, corporate affairs would be available for subscription and any ethical contributions by well-wishers, etc. We will also be covering important and latest development as suggested by many participants in coming weeks. Example, valuations and financial modeling, health is wealth, cybersecurity, blockchain, MSME, etc. We request all to subscribe to Think Tank's YouTube channel for watching summits, conclaves, webinars, and join, connect, and network on Think Tank webinars group on LinkedIn and Facebook pages, Telegram channel specially created on suggestions of many participants and panelists. We once welcome all members and panel share few insights on Vivek Think Tank at Patra India Growth Story. I especially thank my colleagues in the digital global team, Anupam, Aditya, Ajay, Anurag, Archana, Aishwari, Hemant, Mitesh, Mihir, Malvika, Nipun, Nischal, Pramod, Praveen, Rakesh, Rucha, Pramod, R. Kannan, Manish, Santosh, Subrat, Nehal, Sandeep, Unmesh, Vijay, Vikash, Yogesh, and others for regularly contributing to Think Tank at Vivek.Patra. Today, we have an excellent Think Tank multidisciplinary platform seminar, eminent stalwarts and specialists sharing their experiences and latest developments. Let's have an interactive event. Thank you all for joining. So, welcome all. Welcome, Robin, sir. We can start the session.
Thank you, Manish. It is indeed a pleasure for all of us to be here today morning in this excellent conclave with multidisciplinary professionals, experiences, sharing CEOs, CFOs, and specialists and professionals. Really wonderful, and best wishes for the new year 2022 to everybody. Wishing all a healthy, happy, and safe new year. We have to protect ourselves, and also opportunity for the India growth story to rise ahead in the career and be inspiration to others, sharing experiences, sharing knowledge. And Robin, it's indeed a delight. You have been an inspiration to many professionals, breaking the ceilings and rise to the top, contribute at the board level, and achieve the vision and missions of organizations as a CEO, and regularly contributing to knowledge and experience sharing through excellent books. One after another, we have excellent books. I think we are seeing it on the screen. Corporate Frauds, the latest book, and doing very, very well. I request, I hope everybody looks at it and gets inspired by the stories and the book, and which will also protect the corporates and industry and achieve their mission in an integrated manner. So many professionals here. There are CEOs and aspiring to become CEOs of larger organizations and many professionals. So wonderful to have the latest developments, real life examples. Robin?
Thank you. Thank you so much. All of you, thanks for having me. What I propose to do today, if you're okay with it, I'll divide the chat or our discussion into two parts. Part one is, Manoj did mention that the overarching discussion today is CA to CEO. So I'll take that aspect first. I will not discuss the book first. And the second part, we can talk about corporate frauds and corporate blunders. a little bit of insight into what's perhaps is happening in that world. All of you know about it, maybe a different way of looking at it. So we can do it in the second part. So the first part, I would talk to you about the so-called CA to CFO, a CA to CEO. When this journey we talk about, I have a presentation which I would like to show you. I will take another minute or two before we break the ground and go through a presentation. It is always our dream. It is always our dream, each one of you, and I know Narendraji is here. He has been one of the most successful CEOs of the country. It has always been our dream to occupy the corner room. But how do we do that? Whenever we are looking at becoming a CEO, I suppose sometimes we are also looking at opportunities of becoming a senior partner in one of the big 4, 6, 10 partner CA firms. Now, we normally say big 4, but I think it is not the big 4 anymore, and there are many others. So be as it may, how do we, essentially speaking, occupy the corner room? So I would try to share my experiences with it as to what I believe we should all do as chartered accountants, because CAs have an advantage of, to my mind, occupying the corner room. So normally speaking, the progression for us should be, of course, the first CA, and then if we can become the CFO, and to my mind, the natural choice of the CFO becoming the CEO becomes more obvious. Why should the CFO become CEO? And that's what I'm going to discuss with you, because at that point of time, you will have other claimants. You will have CIO, you will have CMO, you have CHRO, you will have CTO. So we have a lot of Cs or CXOs around you who are claiming one seat. But I'm still saying the CFO has the most, let's say, not optimum, but the greatest possibility of becoming the CEO. That's my experience so far. Can you all hear me? Is the voice clear, and is my English okay so far?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. Voice is
fine,
clear,
all
sir.
fine.
Excellent. So I would take out, thank you, Vinayji. I will show you the presentation. I will just share it. Will it automatically come? I'm not too sure. Has it come automatically, or I need to share?
You need to share, sir.
I need to share. Okay, so let me share it. Does it work now?
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. If you can
Excellent. So
turn
let me
into
go
a
to,
presentation mode.
yeah, I'll go to the full screen mode, and then that's it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. This is essentially speaking what I believe are the hard and soft skills which the employers are looking at us for, us here being CAs in the changing world of business. Now, why should they choose a CA? Why CAs are the chosen ones? Why shouldn't someone else be? And therefore, when as a CA, we enter an organization, and I think this particular presentation of the next maybe 30 minutes will be focused on CAs in the industry. Many of you are in the practice, but I think the skills which are required for success is common for whether you're in industry or otherwise. But yes, this is more focused on people who would want to become a CEO or a CFO and then a CEO. So the first one is, what is our USP, unique selling proposition? What is it that CAs bring on the table differently? Why? Because who is our competition? Who is our competition? Our competition is the MBAs from the top 30 institutes. That's what our competition is for the industry position. Who is our competition for practice? Good lawyers with finance backgrounds. So essentially speaking, although I'm a cost accountant, company secretary also myself, but I don't think for CS cost accountants and company secretaries are competitions. I don't think so. They are still, to my mind, far away. And so they are not the competing elements. The competing elements are the top MBAs from the top institutes. And of course, If a person is a good lawyer or has a good financial background, is also a competition. So having said that, it is important for us to understand that if we can do a competition analysis, that what is it that the competition has, who is what they are competing for the position we want to aspire. So I would break this so-called what we need to have the skills into four parts. One, beginners. Many of you are young CAs, less than 5 years of experience. So I would say you are beginners. Then there are established CAs who have already given 5 to 10 to 20 years of your life. Then there are experienced ones who has given 20 to 30 years. And I would say that all those who have experiences of more than 30 years, and now here I mean experience, post-qualification experience of over 30 years, they're elderly or veterans. Please do not misunderstand my English. This is just a way of classifying to my mind as to who should have what. A less than 5 year CA, experienced CA, is not expected to know or perform as someone who has 20 to 30 years of experience, and that's normal. Similarly, someone who's a veteran over 30 years of experience cannot have the same energy and zeal of someone who is less than 5 years of experiences or is just a beginner, a youngster. So that that the employer will take care of when the employer is looking for new inputs. So what is it that we as CAs should have as generic skills for us to succeed? Now, when we succeed, automatically the positions will come. I would, of course, answer something later on that is it good to become a director taxation, director internal audit, or vice president internal audit, vice president tax, or is it good to become a CFO and CEO? This is a $1 million question. We can argue till the cows go home, but upfront, I believe that you should aspire to become the CEO, and therefore it is better that we look ourselves as a generalist as opposed to specialist. And that's the mindset issue, ladies and gentlemen. Many of us have this mindset, we are a chartered accountant, we are chartered accountants, we are skilled in accountancy, MIS, taxation, company law. I think it's an inappropriate way of looking at your skills. You guys have much, much more skill than many others who are there in the open market. So having said that, the first generic skill, which I believe you guys should inculcate is, think you are chartered accountants, you always think of SIP. SIP is 1, subject knowledge, 2, I identify the problems, and P, provide solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the heart and soul of your success depends on this SIP. Many chartered accountants I have noticed, and once, please again pardon me if I use certain sentences or use some examples which are inappropriate. Please pardon me for that. But just to make a point, that I have seen chartered accountants who have been audited for a long time, they only identify problems. They do not provide solution. That is not what is required, ladies and gentlemen, for you to succeed. You identify a problem, it's fantastic. Anybody can identify a problem. Each one of you who is watching this or is participating in this webinar would have already identified so many problems in my presentation. I'm quite sure hundreds of them you would have found out. English inappropriate, sentences made incorrectly, points made not correct. That doesn't matter. But why don't you provide solutions? Why don't you say, okay, this is what you need to do? So the most important subject knowledge, and this is an assumption that you know the subject. So this is an assumption. You can't succeed if you don't know the subject. And believe me, I have seen very successful chartered accountants, very successful ones. I don't know how they have become successful. I don't want to name them. Very poor subject knowledge, rather poor subject knowledge. But what they have overarching is to provide solution. They are always looking for providing solutions. So when you go at a higher level, sometimes the lack of subject knowledge you can make up with your approach to provide solution, because you have others under you who have subject knowledge. But an ideal combination is SIP, have a subject knowledge, identify the problems, and provide solution. This is what industry are looking for. This is what employers are looking for. Ladies and gentlemen, SIP. Having said that, that's a generic This is a generic skill I want. My submission to all of you is you must inculcate in your habit. The last one is very important. Provide solution. Provide solution. Don't look at problems, but okay, chalo abhi batao kya karna hai. Having said that, my submission to you is there are hard skills and soft skills which you need to imbibe for success. Now, this success could be anywhere. You could be in the industry, you could be in practice. Really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. But yes, as I said, this presentation is a little biased towards the industry and becoming a CEO, because that's what I think you guys want to discuss today. Having said that, let's look at the hard skills. Hard skills are those skills which you can acquire, which is something which is acquirable. All of us are not born with the knowledge of accountancy. We acquired it. We did not know how to interpret Companies Act. We acquired it. So hard skills are some which you can acquire. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is something which you may not agree. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, this is the hard truth. The hard truth is the days of accountancy, auditing, taxation, and trading. Trading means you will not agree with me perhaps at this juncture when stock market is booming. I actually mean trading in the stock markets. Those days are over. Those days are almost over. That you shall succeed based on accountancy, auditing, taxation. Most of us, most of chartered accountants are involved in these three proficiencies. Unfortunately, these are all being taken over by computers. These are all being taken over by the IT system. 70–80% work is being taken over. So what we will do, where we will stand. And trading, I think it's fine as long as it's going on, but algorithmic trading and other types of computerized trading is going to be more and more popular, and therefore the necessity for you and me to provide advices to others will be diminishing over a period of time. This is my forecast. You may or may not agree, but I think this is what's going to happen I am saying 5 years, maybe 10 years down the line. So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. This is something, therefore, you need to be cognizant of. Having said that, the first hard skill, well, this is not in order, but I think a very important hard skill which you must learn is financing. The necessity to raise money will continue to be there as long as civilization exists and businesses exist. It has always existed in the past. It will continue to be so. So when you are talking funding and financing skill, ladies and gentlemen, please understand both debt and equity. You could be a debt king and debt queen, but you don't understand equity. It doesn't work. An employer or a client or an organization, a chairperson, a board, or a CFO is looking for holistic solution. You can't say, "Main debt mein bahut acha hu, main to debt ka solution de raha hu." No. Debt and equity, please provide both solutions and say, these are the options in front of you, sir, and this is what perhaps you can do, or you have options around you to do so. Having said that, when you are doing fundraising, most of the companies are also looking for restructuring, which means they're already full of debt or they don't have money. They need their balance sheet to be restructured, some M&A, some takeover, some debt holidaying, and so on and so forth. So understanding restructuring. So ladies and gentlemen, financing the hard skill. We have not been born. When we were born from the mother's womb, we did not understand what is debt and equity. We learned over a period of time. Having learned, please learn it well and learn the concept of restructuring. That is the reinvention or reinventing the organization new so that it can survive again. Next hard skill. This is the flavor of today, is big data and artificial intelligence. It is all known by you that ye to karna hi hai, we understand what is their presentation. Mr. Banerjee, there's no presentation required for that. We all understand that. We need to learn. Why I wanted to make you a special mention on this is, more importantly, is big data. Who understand data the most? If you are given a data, is a chartered accountant able to understand the data best, or an IT guy? Today, what is happening, both this domain, big data and artificial intelligence, has been taken over and siphoned off by the IT people. because we, the chartered accountants, have not got into it. We understand the data the most. If you are given data, you are able to analyze the most. An IT guy cannot and is not able to analyze data. It is you and me. But this domain has been taken over by IT, because we in our mindset feel, oh, to IT ki cheez hai. No, IT will collate the data and give it to you in some readable form. Thereafter, it's all your and my job. Please, ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. Huge investments are taking place on this area. It is still in a very nascent stage, extremely nascent stage. And this is the time for us to enter. Please do a very good course. India still does not have good courses. They say they have, they don't. You may have to, not may, you need to go to a course, good courses from US, perhaps from Harvard Business School. They have good courses. MIT also have good courses. It is a little expensive. Do it. Now you can sit in your own home and do the course. These web virtual courses were not available 2 years back. Now every business school, every school has this e-learning platforms because they need money. People cannot go and travel. The cost has become 1/10. What used to cost about, let's say, 40-45 lakhs for doing a Harvard Business School course will cost to 10-12 lakhs. Even less, if not less. There are good courses at 4-5 lakhs also. So my submission to you, ladies and gentlemen, we understand data the best. You understand numbers and figures the best. Please, for heaven's sake, get into this area, because the days of accountancy and taxation are over. I'm again telling you, is over. Now come to this damn shit called blockchain and cryptocurrency. Should you enter into Bitcoin, not Bitcoin? You guys are experts. You guys are all chartered accountants, and I don't want to get into this whatsoever, the debate. But one sentence I would like to utter, that this is utter nonsense, what is happening in the Bitcoin and this area. You people must be champions in it. You must be making a lot of money. But my still advice is stay away as much as possible, unless you are just allocating 5 to 10% of your wealth towards and making some money. That's heaven. Having said that, what is it that we need to learn? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to learn blockchain technology. Blockchain is the future. You have heard of blockchain ho rahi hai. Unfortunately, a lot of work has taken place, but blockchain is yet not been commercialized. You would have heard Abu Dhabi Bank has already been has come into blockchain. It has not come. They said they are coming, but they have not been able to succeed. I don't want to tell you what is a blockchain. I'm sure you know, but essentially speaking, it's all a matter of debit and credit. When a transaction takes place, ladies and gentlemen, there'll be 12 entities or 10 entities who will independently make an entry of a buying and selling independently. So the transactions are let's say tracked online simultaneously with 10 or 12 different sites, different places, and there is automatic control. The advantage of blockchain is cryptocurrency is a subset of blockchain, as you know. Blockchain technology could not take over. Cryptocurrency came into existence, and cryptocurrency, obviously the Bitcoin, which is a subset of cryptocurrency, took on, and therefore there are Me Too versions, more than 12,000 Me Too versions of cryptocurrency, of which about 1,200 are actively traded in the world. So having said that, blockchain, let me give you an example, 2 examples of blockchain where this technology would be of great use. One is hospital, healthcare industry. If you go to a hospital, what is the biggest asset of a hospital? The hospital bed. A doctor say paisa nahi banta hai, medicine bechne mein paisa nahi banta hai. The hospitals make a money if the bed is occupied, and hospitals make a money when the operation theater is occupied. And the best way to keep a track of that, there is an office call coming. If you don't mind, I'll just take for a second. I don't know how to mute it.
Yeah, I'll mute it. I have done it. So Manoj, you want to speak something? Like,
well, yes, sir. I think we can have a few words from participants out here.
Narendra sir, maybe you can speak something. Okay, anyways, we have Ravin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Can we go back?
Yeah, sure.
Have you given me the sharing right?
Yeah, you have the sharing right, and it's
Yeah,
visible.
yeah, yeah. I
You can
got it.
see.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So I was giving an example, two examples of blockchain. One is the hospital beds. If you have a blockchain technology, it takes microsecond to know when a hospital bed is getting emptied, when a patient is moving out, and when an operation theater is getting emptied, because that's the fastest way you can optimize your asset. Same thing is logistics. In the logistics industry, when a truck is getting unloaded, which warehouse has how much goods, this is a great opportunity for blockchain. I don't want to get into it, the nitty-gritties. We're happy to discuss blockchain later on one day. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. Blockchain is not Bitcoin. Blockchain is not cryptocurrency. Blockchain is much, 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 much more. If you look at all these Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, people saying, no, 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 this is a great thing. This is for the future. They say blockchain is very good. Blockchain is good, doesn't matter. But is cryptocurrency good? Or is Bitcoin type of good where nobody knows what's the demand and what's the supply? It's all speculative in nature. So be as it may, my submission to you is please, please learn this, one of these tricks. So one big learning is big data, artificial intelligence. My submission is start with big data, get into artificial AI, and or if you can know both, nothing like it, or you get into blockchain, and I think that would be a great thing to do. Having said that, one of the biggest not advantage, biggest demand which industry will continue to have for infinite in time is turnaround specialist. Businesses will make losses. Businesses will be in खड्डा. वो खड्डा से निकालेगा कौन? सब खड्डे में गिर जाते हैं. Then बोले अबे हमको बचाओ. Please save me. But who is a savior? The turnaround specialist. So ladies and gentlemen, this is something we, the chartered accountants, can actually become turnaround specialists. There is nobody else in the world, no competition we have, and hardly any one of us are turnaround specialists. Hardly. If you ask me, Karan, maybe name me a turnaround specialist, I will take few minutes for even to tell one name that acha uske paas jao. Now, in order to make, basically, you have to make a red balance sheet into black balance sheet. That's what the right hand side picture says. So convert losses into profits, no brainer. But what is important? Why is it so important, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying turnaround specialist. I am in the SME chamber board. So I meet lots of SMEs. I'm also in the CII. I'm the chairman of CII Western India for Finance and Tax Committee. So I meet lots of SMEs. 90% in khaddas. The problem in khadda is that when you meet these entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs do not know what is the problem. They feel everything is everything सब ठीक ठाक है, लेकिन धंधा नहीं है. अरे वो चाइना से माल आ रहा है, हमारा competition आधा भाव में बेच रहा है. So can you stop anything of this? Can you stop China from importing, India from importing from China? Can you stop somebody undercutting? It is like McDonald's, a restaurant, saying that I will not do well because next door there is a vada pav wala who sells the bloody vada pav at 1/10 of the price. So McDonald's kya karega? By the way, you will see McDonald's normally in Bombay has a next door vada pav. But the McDonald's has never ever closed down because McDonald's knows how to fight the vada pav wala. Because vada pav wala has a different clientele, McDonald's has different clientele. Therefore, the last one is important, ladies and gentlemen. You need to have 360 degrees ability to understand what the problem that entrepreneur is facing. What does the problem face? Normally we the chartered accountants, when we will go to the entrepreneur, the most important problem is हमारा पास पैसा नहीं है, funding नहीं है. Baba, funding is the outcome of various other problems. आपका पास funding नहीं है, पैसा नहीं है, because there are many other problems you have had. It's like bukhar. When you go to a doctor, हमारा बुखार आया. But bukhar aaya not because bukhar aaya, either your stomach is a problem, or your heart is a problem, or your leg is a problem, or your brain is a problem. Somewhere the problem is. The doctor has to identify where the problem is. And that's the, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have the ability, which means maybe the problem is the product profile. What they're selling doesn't sell anymore. 2, the quality is a problem. They don't know, the entrepreneur does not understand, the customer doesn't like the quality anymore. 3, he doesn't have the appropriate manpower. Uska acha CEO nahi hai, acha manufacturing head nahi hai, actual quality control nahi hai, acha aadmi nahi hai. Without people, how will they do business? Most entrepreneurs are one-man show. They feel हमारा सब कुछ पता है, मैं सब कुछ अलग कर लेता हूँ. There is nobody in the world who can do one himself or herself. Not possible. Maybe IT is a problem. They don't have a technology, IT. They don't have. I have been very close to a company which is the third largest um, scientific laboratory furniture manufacturer. Scientific laboratory furniture manufacturer. Is based in Mumbai, somewhere close to Mumbai. I would not give you any more hint. He's the third largest in India, by the way, and perhaps seventh or eighth largest in the world. I had visited before the pandemic, and there was a table who manufactured. He's a scientific table he manufactured, and I asked him, the chairman, who happens to the owner, that ये table आप कितना भाव में बेचेंगे? He said 40 लाख. अब हम पूछा उसको, very simple, ऐसा ही पूछ लिया कि 40 से 50 लाख क्यों नहीं सर, और 30 लाख क्यों नहीं, 30 लाख क्यों नहीं? बोले नहीं, हमारे कॉस्ट 40 लाख है. अच्छा, तो 50 लाख में क्यों नहीं? 50 लाख में नहीं बेचेंगे, बेच नहीं पाएंगे. चलो ठीक है. But then he said 40 lakhs is my cost. So I think he said 38 or 37 lakhs cost. I'm going to sell at 40 lakhs. I said, अच्छा, ये 40 lakhs जो cost है, मैं देख सकता हूँ क्या? He said, नहीं, हमारे पास cost नहीं है. अरे, अब तो अभी बोला cost 37 lakhs है. जो नहीं, वो हमारा दिमाग में है, लगता है उसको 37 lakhs ही है. Believe me, he's the third largest manufacturer, scientific laboratory furniture, and he does not know the cost of his product, and he has already priced it at 40 lakhs. उसको कैसे पैसा बनेगा? उसको पैसा बन ही नहीं सकता है. He doesn't know cost. उसको cost नहीं है तो profit कैसे पता होएगा? So at the end of the year, his CA makes some कुत्ता बिल्ली चूहा profit and loss. He understands profit हुआ नहीं हुआ, भगवान की मालूम, कुछ टैक्स भरते थे, उसको हो गया. But there is nothing called monthly MIS. There's nothing called quarterly MIS. He does not know what much profit or loss he's making. He doesn't have a costing mechanism. And if this is the hal of the third largest entrepreneur of a particular segment, just imagine the world around. And I'm quite sure most of you must have encountered this problem. So my submission is, ladies and gentlemen, being a chartered accountant, do not being an accountant. You have to bring value on the table for the entrepreneur. You have to tell him, sir, आपका quality का problem है, आपका manufacturing का problem है, आपका marketing sales नहीं हो रही है. You have to get into new ways of selling. You have manpower का problem है, law का problem है. You have to provide him the solution. It is true that you will say, if that is so, you know, we chartered accountants are like MBBS doctors. We are like MBBS doctors, perhaps with MD with one particular area. But don't forget your MBBS-ness, which means holistic solution. And then say, Baba, I am an MBBS, I'm a chartered accountant, but I know companies like very well. That is okay. That's fine. But you should be able to identify what is it that the employer or the entrepreneur is suffering from. If you are a turnaround specialist, ladies and gentlemen, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit for success. You entrepreneurs are willing to pay anything, believe me, anything. And you can say, no, you know nothing. Well, I'm the board of SEB chamber. I'm the CII chairman of Western India Finance Tax. If I don't know anything, then perhaps many of you would have more experiences. But it is true. Some of you may have inexperiences in this, but mostly, if you are a turnaround specialist, if you understand funding well, and you are a 360 degrees ability, chances are that success is bound to come. And that is precisely, ladies and gentlemen, the industry is looking from you all the time. Go ahead. So next is startups. Startups is the flavor, as you know, startups is the flavor. And if you can become a startup consultant, nothing like it. It is not easy to become a startup consultant. I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, please work with one or two startups without money. Startups normally has no money. They are not willing to give money. ऐसा ही काम करो. 2 साल काम सीख लो. Startup होता क्या? Ecosystem कैसा होता है? How to raise money? How to operationalize a vision? Who is a startup specialist? Normally an IIT engineer, उसको पता ही नहीं है finance क्या होता है. उसका एक vision है. He's very intelligent, but he or she is not able to convert that into reality. Can you, the chartered accountant, can we convert that vision into reality? Can we help him with the negotiations? 360 degrees ability, I'm again coming. Moment you are a startup advisor, you have to understand marketing, selling, HR, manufacturing a little bit. you don't have to understand manufacturing, but at least you have to understand how the manufacturing is happening, the quality control is happening, and so on and so forth. A holistic ball game. Yes, I am taking examples of a manufacturing setup. A, um, a service setup will not be very different. If you are a logistics startup company, you obviously have to give a consultancy for not only, again, manning is important, how the trucks are getting occupied, what is the cost of petrol and diesel which is happening, how the drivers are to be appointed, the whole HR cost, occupying utilization of assets, which is the trucks, and so on and so forth, becomes important. So startup is something, ladies and gentlemen, is a great opportunity for you and me. I will have adequate time for question answer. I know many of you must be thinking that itching to ask questions. I'll be having enough time to answer questions. And now the next term, the hard skill is holistic knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, we know accounting MIS, which is the first one, auditing, taxation, corporate law, all this we know. But from the finance, that gray word onwards is where our problem lies. Most chartered accountant, although we are finance expert, many of us don't understand fundraising unless you've worked on it. Insurance and risk management, please, for heaven's sake. Risk management is a huge area for us. We need to understand a bit of it. Purchasing, you need to understand purchasing. Need to understand purchasing, logistics, IT, and human resources. Nothing is possible without manpower. HR. You must be an HR person. Each one of us should have to be an HR manager. HR manager is not a CHRS role. Every individual in the world who has one person reporting to him or her is an HR manager. So, ladies and gentlemen, very important, please understand not only accounting, auditing, taxation, corporate law, and finance, perhaps you people are aware, but the insurance, purchasing, logistics, IT, and HR is very important for us to know. This will give you the holistic knowledge. This is what I'm looking for, 360 degrees ability with you as chartered accountants. So if I may summarize the hard skills, financing goes without saying, because finance will continue for ad infinity as long as human beings exist. Big data and artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, great opportunity for us. Blockchain, we can do blockchain. Please siklo isko. Lot of opportunities. It is at the cusp of taking off. Both big data and blockchain, not much has happened. Lot of words keeps happening. Lot of articles keeps happening, but not much commercialization is happening. At least big data AI mein kuch ho raha hai, but blockchain not much. Turnaround specialists, a great opportunity for us. Startups, that is the future. As you know, there are already last year, I think 26 startup billionaire became unicorn, startups became unicorns, and holistic knowledge, which will give you the ability to do the 360 degrees. Having said that, I will now move into soft skills. After doing the soft skills, I will, of course, give you time to answer the questions. It's already 45 minutes. Time flies, I can see. My submission to you is, I call soft skill as PPP. Over there, if you remember, I talked about SIP, and here it is PP, personal positive power. If we must have personal positive power, it is this positive power around us which will make the world behave the way you want them to behave. So the first soft skill, the first one is communication. I have noticed we, the chartered accountants, are very poor communicator. This is not acceptable. You have the finest brain. Why can't we communicate? Because we have not focused on it. We need to focus on it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot speak well, if you cannot write well, and yet think that I should become successful, you are in a fool's paradise. You are in a fool's paradise. I think this think tank platform is a great platform for all of us to understand, learn, communicate, and get the skill of being able to communicate well. This is 30, 40, 50 of you. Why don't you every day, every Saturday, communicate with each other, make presentations, 10 minute ka presentation karo. Doesn't matter, the first presentation may not be good, but you have to have the ability to be able to communicate both written and oral. Having said that, if you see, there is a word called presentation. Now is a presentation ka zamana. I feel, why are MBAs getting paid more than CAs? It's a fact of life. MBA from IIM, management trainee, 15 lakh salary, chartered accountant rank holder, 5 lakh salary. What nonsense. It's a fact. It's a fact. Same company, IIM MBA management training, fresher, chartered accountant fresher, एक का salary 15 lakh, एक का salary 5 lakh. This is absolutely ridiculous. It is shameful. This is happening. This is a ground reality. And I can tell you a name now, and I wouldn't, of course, that they are practicing, and there are hundreds of them. They are at the very entrance, they are saying IIMs or MBAs from these big institutes are better than chartered accountants. Why? They have better brain than us? No. They have better presentation skills. That's it. That bloody word, preparation, presentation, makes them earn 10 lakhs every month more. And why can't we do that? Why can't we get into presentation skills? Because we have not
can I add
told our
one line in
heart.
this? Sir, Robin, sir,
Yes.
if you permit, can I add one line in this from
Of
your
course,
own
sir.
book?
Please, sir. We must supplement.
I am Sir Satyaprakash. I just quote from your one word, because MBAs are there to just to present the things, and CS are supposed to certify the things, and that makes the biggest difference. If I just quote one, means your own book, Who Cheats and How. If you can see, most of the people are mainly from the finance side and not from the chartered accountant side. You can confirm, sir. You have, because you are the author, so you know better than us. So please, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, absolutely right. Good. It's nice to get some supplementary so that the boredom is broken immediately. Okay, so communication we have spoken. Next one is listening. You know what? You must be able to listen. We underplay this skill. Many a times you will find that why is it that business went away to someone else? Why is it that Mr. X or Mrs. Y got this business? I was a better consultant, or I was a better resource, because perhaps you were not listening, you were interjecting. So listening skill, most of us don't know how to listen. Most of us don't listen. Be attentive and cultivate the patience. It is very important to be a listener. There is a saying which I am not too sure whether it is fully correct. The 90% of success comes if you're the last speaker. That means you have listened to everybody and you speak the last, which I don't agree with under Indian context. Because if you want to become the last speaker, आपको किसी ने आपको बोलने देगा ही नहीं. But so when there is a group discussion, normally it should be the third or the fourth speaker. Normally it should be the third or fourth speaker in a group discussion. So just to give you a thought, that because then you have listened to the first and second speaker, you know in which direction it is going, and you can then contribute. So be as it may, be a good listener. This is a soft skill all of us can learn. Having said that, the third soft skill is ethics. I'm going to talk to chartered accountants on ethics. That's what I write books on. That's something perhaps I'm going to speak to a little later. Big issue for chartered accountants, ethics. How do you be ethical? When we sign a balance sheet and profit and loss account, knowing that the stock's valuation is incorrect, knowing the debtors perhaps do not exist. I don't want to belabor this point. This is a big question of to be or not to be ethical, not to be ethical. Generally, being ethical helps. It is not easy. It's easy to say as a chartered accountant. We often go through the dilemma of what we should do, what we should not do. But try to be ethical as much as possible. Chances are that you will be a winner. Having said that, EQ, which is called our emotional quotient. Now, IQ, all of us have. If we did not have the intelligence quotient, we would not have passed the examination. Perhaps we passed the hardest examination, the most difficult examination in the world, which is 4 to 5% success factor. EQ is all about emotional quotient. In essence, it means ability to deal with others. If you have high EQ, EQ talks about this leadership, motivation, all that word which we keep saying. You cannot do work unless people loves you, and people will love you if you can deal with them on equal footing. Please, for heaven's sake, develop this concept of EQ. All of you guys have high EQ, IQ. EQ, many of us lack. We should be loved by people. We should always think that when I die, how many people will cry for me? And if there are thousands of thousands who are likely to cry, that means you have high EQ. Having said that, this is cool and calm. Yesterday, we saw that Mr. Virat Kohli lost his calm. This was a black mark on India to my mind, because he lost his game is fine, but you should lose anything. Hey, someone has to lose, someone has to win. That's fine. Anybody could have lost. South Africa could have lost. India could have lost. Doesn't mean that you should break your coolness. Dhoni has always been the epitome of cool and calm. Who is cool and calm? We will say, oh, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Don't get flustered, be tactical, and do your time management. Be cool and calm. Many of us, many a time, your client or your employee will see you are flustered, you are under pressure, you don't know what you are saying, you have become red in your face. You cannot succeed if you're not cool and calm. You have to tell yourself, okay, be cool. Take deep breath, 3-time deep breath, let the oxygen go in your brain, and automatically you will cool down. So it is very important. Meditation helps for sure, but the fact that you want to become cool and calm itself, that attitude of yours itself will help you. Be cool and calm. Therefore, and I have some little advice for people who are elderly, little advice from elderly chartered accountants, maybe, if you don't mind. Chartered accountants, or some of you who are more than, let's say, 55 years of age, please do these 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mentoring. The world needs mentors, and you have got so much experiences. Do mentoring. That will do a world of good for the future. Teaching. Our profession needs someone to teach. If you don't teach, how will the knowledge will get disseminated? All that what you've learned in your life. YouTubing. YouTube is a big opportunity, big opportunity for us to share with the wider world. Whole world becomes your client, not client, but your audience. Podcast is not very popular in India. It is getting popular. You can write something, speak, and go to the podcast option, and you will see how you are starting to disseminate knowledge. And of course, writing. Many of us cannot write, some of us can. Whoever can, start your blog, write 1 page or write a few lines in your LinkedIn, see how people are reacting to it. 1 pager can become 2 pager, 2 pager can become an article, articles can become a book later on, who knows, never know. So all of those who have the time in their favor, who have experience, maybe you should look into the mentoring, teaching, YouTubing, podcasting, writing. I'm not saying all of this you should do, but pick up 1 or 2 and start. You will be not only gainfully occupied, but you will be so self-satisfied, saying that every day you will meet new people, of course, youngsters and others, and also you will get a self-satisfaction that I'm doing something for the society. So in order to summarize, my soft skills are communication. And just now, as we have just heard, that why does MBS get more paid? Because their communication abilities are better. Not communication, their presentation abilities are better. Listening, please do listen. Ethics, big dilemma for chartered accountants. Be or not to be. EQ, emotional quotient, ability to deal with others. Very important. We are not individuals. Unfortunately, chartered accountants are very individualistic because of our accounting subject. We always studied our own self. We never went to a business school for making presentations. So EQ is something we must inculcate. Be cool and calm. Don't get flustered. And if you can do mentoring, teaching, and writing, even if you're not old, even if you're not 55 plus, you can still do at the age of 30. Why not? You can do mentoring, teaching, and writing even when you are 25. So these are the skills I would like to say. So in short, there are generic skills, ladies and gentlemen. There are hard skills and soft skills. In generic skill, basically it is SIP, subject knowledge, and then so-called I, if you know, identify the problem, and P is provide solution. So this is what generic skill we should have. Hard skills we have discussed, and then the softer one, which is essentially communication, presentation skills, able to speak well. One particular hint I want to give you: many of us, when we speak English, our vernacular or the state from which we belong to comes out from our mouth. If I'm from Tamil Nadu, my English becomes little Tamilian. If I'm from Bengal, I speak little Bengali English. Try not to do that. Try to speak English which is agnostic. Therefore, listen to BBC News next 15 days, 20 days. Try to copy the way the BBC newscasters are speaking. And I can assure you in 1 month's time, your English slowly will pick up a language or a vernacular agnostic pronunciation. It is very important that when people hears you, people cannot say, aha, you are a Bengali, or aha, you are from Bihar. That they should not say. It is very important. Please be aware of that. Having said that, one little conundrum which we all have, and this is something which many of you ask me, that should I become a specialist or a generalist? I have answered this upfront before I started the presentation. Should you become a generalist or specialist? My submission is, as a doctor, you should become a specialist. It's great to become a brain surgeon or a neurosurgeon or whatever. But as a chartered accountant, if you want to become the CEO, if that is your aim, this is what we are talking to here, CA to CEO, you have to become a generalist. If you are a tax expert and continue tax for 30 years, you will not, chances are that you will not become a CEO. You have to become a generalist. You have to understand purchasing, insurance, risk management, auditing, taxation, everything, accounting, all that. So my submission, if you are talking CA to CFO, CFO to CEO, generalist is the answer. This is my view. So Satyaprakash says, true. Okay. Thank you, Satyaprakash. Okay. How is a CA different? How is a CA different? What is our USP? I did talked about in the past. You have to identify the USP. We have three USPs. One, we understand numbers. Nobody understands numbers better than us. Therefore, because we understand numbers, we can always have a bird's eye view what is happening in an organization. Nobody in the company can understand the bird's eye view. The second, we are above average intelligence people. That's a fact. If you're a group of 30 people, you will find that CA is able to understand more. He or she may not be able to communicate better, which we just talked about. It is important that all of us need to communicate better. Very important. Very important for that. And we know laws, because we know law, we have a general understanding of the legal system around. It helps us. So our USP is understand numbers, intelligence, and we know the law. Our problem, however, is we are poor communicator. This is something, ladies and gentlemen, we must get rid of. So next chart nahi aa rahi hai. Aditya, Lekna, has gaye.
Yes, slide is not coming.
Yeah, got it. So what is our aim? Industrial practice, I'll not get into it. It doesn't matter whether it's industrial practice. I think we discussed today more of industry. Yes, desire to join an industry, aim for the CFO role and grow to CEO. We discussed all along. Desire to, if you have to become a practice, of course, you have to become a senior partner in a reputed firm, or of course, a successful practice of your own. I don't need to take a call to the Newcastle. All of you know what it is. So what is expected of a CA? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are first expected to be a solution provider. We need to be a turnaround specialist. Means if a company is doing well, bad, we should know how to do it. And most importantly, we need to be a guide. A chartered accountant is a guide to the entrepreneur, to the board, to the senior management. There is nobody. An HR manager cannot be a guide. A CMO cannot be a guide. A CIO cannot be a guide. It is we, the finance people, the chartered accountants, who can become the guide. So be a solution provider first in your mindset. Try to be a solution provider, turnaround specialist, and be a guide. If you are so, you need to be a confidant. You need not confident, but confidant. You need to be the confidant of the entrepreneur, the board, and MD and CEO. Basically, a confidant is someone who can be relied upon, who the CEO can come and say, hello, can you provide me with an answer? Or someone who comes with you to you and asks for it from you some advice, words of advice. So, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This was my presentation. I'm happy to help you if I can. And yeah, so I think we can stop the presentation and take the questions. And then we'll go to the second part of the presentation. Aditya, can we stop it?
Yeah.
Sir, one of the issues which we in industry used to face was the receptivity by the promoters. And that used to be a serious problem. You know, when we want to say the facts, okay, we'll be just dumped. How do we correct the situation?
Can you put on your video, please? That will be nice.
Oh, sure.
And also, if you can mention your name and the company, that will be.
Now, of course, you know, I have retired. I retired 7 years back. I'm 67 now. My name is Narendra Negandhi. I was a CFO in quite a few companies. Okay, and one of the company wherein right in the beginning of the company, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, when the company started, I stated to the promoter that this project is not going to work, and this is an over ambitious project as far as we are concerned. And like, you know, the way that I was fired, and then subsequently the promoter's reaction to me, which continued for almost around 2 or 3 years, then, you know, like, things went very bad. Okay, and ultimately now the company went into NCLT, and recently it has been bought over against you know, the invested amount of maybe 5,000 crore. It has now been bought over, you know, by the company, by a particular company, for less than 1,000 crore, with nearly 4,000 crores of bank and the public going down the drain.
Narendra sir, what you have faced is being faced by hundreds and thousands and millions of CAs around the world.
True.
There are two things. There are good entrepreneurs and bad entrepreneurs. And there are good boards and bad boards.
True.
There are entrepreneurs who only want to have yes men around them, and they can never ever succeed. But my submission to you is, not to you, but to all of us here, that you should be able to identify your boss, whether the boss is willing to hear any negativity. There are a lot of bosses, lot of entrepreneurs who do not want to have any negatives around them. Usko jo khayal mein aata hai, wo karega. Then we have nothing else but to go along with the flow of the tide. By disturbing it, we are only going to make our position weak, and see with the tide how much we can do to minimize the damage. That's all what we can do. Why is Ratan Tata more successful, or Mr. Narayan Murthy more successful than others? And there are millions others who tried, but Narayan Murthy, if you remember, from day one, he got his advice from his CFO, Mohan Daspai. He always heard him, and he always took his CFO as his equal partner. Abhi dekho kya hua? Narendra Mohan, this Infosys became so big, but why others could not? Same thing has happened with Satyam. Reverse. Satyam Ramalinga Raju never had his CFO. He told his CFO to make 50 crores cash balance, 5,000 crore. मैं बता रहा हूं आपको करना है. He had two choices, either to leave or to go do it. I know Kingfisher CFO. Kingfisher CFO is to call me, believe me, a personal friend of mine, saying that yesterday, the day before, I know Narendra Bhai is in this call. I don't know whether he's there. I don't know whether he's there. There was a release of 250 crores from IDBI Bank as a loan against Kingfisher Airlines, which is the subject matter in the public domain. Believe me, what happened? No, this is a...
We understand. You can omit certain, you know, whatever. We understand, sir.
So therefore, sir, we have to be very careful as to what is it, whom are we advising? It is the presentation I made is an ideal situation, but the board must take the CAs as confidants. But there are some boards who do not want us to be the confidants. That's a fact. But I believe that's a minority. The majority of them are looking for good advice. Majority of them are looking for good advice. So it is important that, and as we go along in our life, I think clients will keep on changing. Our employees will keep on changing. The good news is we cannot change our parents, but we can change our bosses. That's a good news. So yes, Randraji, you are right. I have faced myself in my life when the entrepreneur would not listen, and of course, the outcome has not been good. But there are entrepreneurs who have listened also. So yes, it's a mixed bag. We have to take it with a pinch of salt and move ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vipin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Vipin Agarwal. I'm based in Delhi, and Robin, actually, this is possibly the third time I am hearing you, and it's always fascinating, having your views and insights. Very profound, very practical. I just would like to add one thing. We talked about the turnaround part. Incidentally, if you really look at the BCG theory, there is a thing called dog, and there is a thing called question mark. There, the leadership which is recommended is something which is guy who comes from the background of accountancy and finance. But the point is, despite having so much of bankruptcy, insolvency, and need for turnaround, possibly people are not really awakened to the fact that there is a defined competence by a scientific theory. And I just thought I'll supplement this, that it is not only the practical discovery that it makes sense, but it is also scientifically proven, documented truth.
The good news is, Bipin bhai, that for turning around a business, there is no one solution provided so far. There are BCG models, there are McKinsey models, there are loads and loads of models. Model से खत्म हो जाएगा तो हर बार बिजनेस को कैसे पैसा बनाएगा? नहीं बना सकेंगे ना? So therefore, everyone, like there is something called the blue ocean strategy. Suddenly a book came 10 years back, I think, or 15 years back, sold millions of copies. The professors made millions of dollars by speaking on the blue ocean strategy. Now, naya theory aa gaya, blue ocean strategy. Everyone thinks, wow, kya theory hai? Arey, blue ocean strategy, what is it? In short, that you think what is possible in the future. Arey, ye to everybody knows, even a child knows. Us hisab se theory bana diya, kitab bana diya. Abhi, the issue here is that, in my view, the chartered accountants with the CAs should know the turnaround theories which have been, let's say, propounded and used somewhere. One of that could be the BCG model. One of that could be the blue ocean. Take a mixture of all this and utilize in a packet form so that sab kuch hum utilize kar payenge. This is what we, the CAs, or we, the professionals, need to do, because ultimately, I have noticed in the entrepreneurship, there is one pain point which the entrepreneur does not know what is creating the trouble for the business. Every business starts with a lot of flamboyance, lot of color. Let's say, have you noticed, ladies and gentlemen, all of you, have you noticed one example? Let me give you an example. Wherever you are staying, have you noticed that a restaurant most of the restaurants, a newly opened restaurant does not last more than 1 year. Have you noticed it? Newly opened restaurant, you will see, last about 1 year. Restaurants which are there has been there for last 20, 30 years. But naya jo aate hain, wo ek saal mein khatam ho. Have you noticed that around you? 70-80% you will see this is what is happening. Why? The restaurant started with a good chef. The restaurant started with hopefully money. The restaurant started with good decor. Then why most restaurants don't succeed more than 1 year? If you ask the entrepreneur, if you go and meet the entrepreneur on the 7th or 8th month when he is already struggling, he would not know what is the problem. Is the problem his food? Is the problem of the decor? Is the problem he has priced too much? Is it that he has not advertised well? He would not know. And if you and me can go and try to say, Baba, aapka ye problem hai. You have one problem which you need to sort out. And of course, there could be 2 other problems around them. The restaurant will be revived. We must be that specialist, the MBBS doctor, able to say that this is your problem, now let's go to a specialist. Fortunately, we the CA can always ask for a specialist because we know whom to ask for help. Same does MBBS does. MBBS identifies a problem, certify, tells that अब वो specialist के पास जाओ, वो hospital के पास जाओ, आपका problem solve हो जाएगा. We are actually the MBBS doctors of finance and accounts. No, sorry. We are the MBBS doctors of entrepreneurship. There is no other MBBS doctors which competes with chartered accountants. MBBS do not compete with us. Unfortunately, we have given MBBS the space to outbeat us. We have given the space. For the last 10 years, हम लोग उसको ऊपर चढ़ा दिया, or we have allowed them to take over us. And then we see that a management trainee MBA is 15 lakhs, a management trainee chartered accountant is 5 lakhs. When I joined as management trainee in Hindustan Lever, which perhaps is the best employer in the country, if not in the world, I joined as a management trainee. 3 CAs were taken, 3 IIM MBAs were taken, 1 IIT engineer was taken. I remember, but I think 6-7 people were taken, 1 management trainee batch. All of us were having the same salary, 750 rupees per month. That's all. No one was distinguished. Today, the situation becomes different in many organizations, most organizations, in fact. Why? Because we have allowed our space to be occupied by our competition. A day has come, this now needs to stop. We now need to get together and say, hello, enough is enough. I will take my space. We shall take our space. Sorry, I've spoken too much on this topic.
But I think, somewhere, this MBA and CA, one should not be seen, two opposite sides. I think it is a matter of CAs need to build some competencies which MBAs have. And MBAs maybe, need to have some competencies which CAs have. This is the way I would like to summarize, this is my practical experience of 36 years in industry. And having faced all kind of onslaughts from IITs or IIMs or various kinds, I've always found that, there is a time when in my infancy of 89, 90, I used to always carry the same feeling, why am I getting beaten down by MBAs? And then somewhere, an awakening came, what is that they have done and I have not done? And how can I read what they have read and how can I present what they present? Then maybe, and then after that, I think the journey became much more collaborative and cohesive. So I think your wholesomeness of viewing a situation come, having also, being in leadership position in many organizations, I have found that, there are a number of CAs, I actually found they lacked courage even to speak to their boss. So, there is this safety in silence. And I always used to say, why you have to have safety in silence, right? Go and speak up. And it doesn't matter that, you can't choose the best of the English language. It doesn't matter. Go and speak in whatever you can speak, but communicate. Okay. And at least this is something which is nothing long language, but your behavioral courage. So possibly, MBAs have entry, which makes them more courageous, and CAs have no entry norms, which possibly doesn't display their courage. And the moment they really figure out their courage, they can also become more communicating.
Sorry to say, but if
so Vipin bhai, it boils down to communication, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry but, to say, people feel, but they don't know how to express it. There is so much of fear. So there is a psychological therapy which is needed for CAs. This is the way I say it. And second thing, I always find, there is this distinction which is called material and immaterial. They would actually try to raise a small point, which is, for example, talking about attending so many board meetings, people come from big firms and start, presenting in audit committee, and they will bring trivial points, which is not even worth the attention of any auditor. And then I tell them that, listen, is it going, no, you want to inform, fine, you want to inform, but does it really make so much of difference if you don't inform? Okay, but this is something which is the mold. That mold needs to be rechecked. That mold needs to be introspected. Okay, so why is it that, you actually rate yourself down, then you think somebody is going to come and lift you up? Do you think the regulator is going to come and lift you up? No.
Well said, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Can I say something?
Hasi Dushyant, please, sir.
Yeah, Robinji, I think you have so nicely spoken what I always felt. When I joined HPCL way back in 1987, Then in the interview itself, I had made very clear that I wouldn't like to have any accounting role. So it's more of a finance, in a public sector, and they put me in one accounting department. Very third day, I went and said, look, I had said so in the interview that all these, you are a big organization. The accounting is really important to you, but then it doesn't interest me. And there are a lot of other things I can contribute as a finance person, not as accounts person, very clear. They straight away put me in corporate planning. And as a novice, I was involved in making their fire plan and all that. And then while dealing with my other colleagues, I realized, that there were about 4 IIMs and about 3 to 4, IITs, because the projects and all, they were involved. And I realized that, each one is good in their own way, but then the finance knowledge is so shallow and superfluous. Even IIM MBA finance also didn't understand much about the book depreciation and tax depreciation and things like that. And in the group of about 15 people, I was the only CA. But gradually, with my inputs and all, ultimately, as you said, you have to become a confidant. And they were looking forward to me for various inputs. And I made the whole change in how they work out the financial planning, the project evaluation and things like that. And ultimately, I realized that it's such a big company, there is no good MIS. So I suggested to a director of finance. And of course, as you said, there are good entrepreneurs and bad entrepreneurs. I was lucky to have kind of a receptive management. And even though I was a junior level, but then when I had opportunity and talked to our director of finance, I said, sir, there has to be certain MIS with the key figures flowing from all the divisions. And at that time, SBUs were not there. Subsequently, various business SBUs were formed. But then I could tell them, and they were receptive, and we started it. Same way, HPC was always depending on the government funds in the budget allocation. So once I told my director, sir, we are 100% government. I think the time has come that we should also go public. We should also have public issue. And you will not believe, sir, after that, within 2-3 years, the government diluted HPCL equity. And that kind of what your spirit of looking at as a businessman, not as only a accountant, helped me in all my assignments. And ultimately, I was handling as a head of finance in our joint venture in Indore, similar to this MGLE which is in Bombay. And I was for about 7-8 years, driving the profitability of the company as a internal consultant group. And that confidence in you can come only with your interactions and inputs over a period. So as you rightly put it, sir, we have to be a business partner in the right sense as a, the consultant, and we should understand the business. We should understand how to drive the business, where the things are wrong, and how we can help them in analyzing, giving feedback. And then ultimately, if they trust you, then trust you more and more. And that I enjoyed. Going out of our, traditional CA or this finance function, I enjoyed that. I was a finance head of the loop plant. I changed a lot of things there. And as people are receptive and you go with some logical, input and convince them, I think then the sky is the limit.
Well said, sir. Very well said, sir. Such valuable advice you gave to all of us.
But a fantastic presentation, Robin. I would say that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
A lot of experience behind it.
Thank you, sir. Good. So anything else? Actually, the topic which we did for the last 1.5 hours is unending.
Yeah.
And Narendraji, boliye, sir.
We can move to the next one.
Okay, good. Next topic is corporate frauds.
Really interesting. Really interesting to know the minds of the criminals, especially financial criminals.
Financial criminals, yes, yes. I visit the Indian Police Academy, Hyderabad. Of course, the visits we used to take place pre-COVID times, 2 years back. And whenever I interact with these, they are all IPS officers in charge of big divisions, of course. And the common theme is that a policeman, 90% of the frauds they don't know how to catch. They understand how to catch a rapist, a theft, a burglary, but we don't understand that billions of dollars are getting stolen away by some businesses which are unethical. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what I would do is, I have just written, and in fact, the picture was given, and I don't need to show you anything. This is the book I had written just now, which has just been launched about a month back. And again, it got stuck with us because of Omicron. So it's called Corporate Frauds. Before that, I wrote a book on who blunders and how. This is on business mistakes. There is no book on business mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. There are books on business successes, but there is nobody has ever written, ever. I have no competition to my book. And the first book which I wrote about 7 years back is Who Cheats and How. So when I wrote this book, Who Cheats and How, believe me, you will be surprised to know that, of course, it has been reprinted 3 times. It's apart from being in English, it is in Hindi and Marathi. Very surprising, very surprising data, and we are all data-oriented people, that every day, this book, every day, one book gets sold somewhere in the world, every day. Because my publisher is a global publisher, so it gets sold in the world. So I don't know whether this book, now 2 books will get sold in the world every day, because it has more masala in it. It has much, much more masala. It has masalas of including tax haven, money laundering, white money, white money, cyber crimes. Well, you name it and it's there. But what I wanted to tell you is that we, the chartered accountants, or all of you here, many a times we have to prevent blunders and mistakes from taking place. So this book, I'm not a professor, I'm one of you. Based on my experiences, I've tried to write down, these are all based on stories. This is more than 350 stories. This is more than 400 stories. These are all small little stories, interestingly written, so that we advise others, including our employers and our principals, that how to avoid blunders. If you look at blunders could include taking a wrong position. Blunders could include getting the stock market and get fuss out in a particular deal. Blunders could include recruiting the wrong person. Huge blunder happens when we do a wrong mergers and acquisition. Fantastic blunder happens, brilliant blunder happens when we take too much of debt and we don't know how to repay. So all that is in this book. So I will not try to sell these books to you. If you can, it would be a good reading. I think 300, 400 rupees, we spend so much money. Maybe you or your children or your friends should read it, because this is something I write, not because I make any money out of it, because I believe all of us have finite life. Whatever little I have learned, we have learned in our world, in our life so far, if we can give it to the community. Unfortunately, there is no literature on this. Neither Harvard Business, nor anybody else is writing on this topic. It's all under the carpet, hidden down. So, yeah, these are the 3 books. Thank you. Thank you, Aditya, for being kind.
Are these available on Amazon?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Amazon is the best way to get. They always give you discounts. 100, 150, 200 rupiya discount milti rehte hain. Pick it up. We spend so much of money. Maybe all 3 books together we may cost 700, 800 rupees, 900 bucks. We lose so much of money elsewhere. It would be a good reading, sir. And my submission to you is, I have realized that people who reads business books, normally someone who picks it up on the airport, then there is a 2-hour flight, and 2 घंटे में जितना पढ़ा 20 page, 30 page, 40 page, and then रह जाता है, पढ़ते नहीं. So I have written a book in a way that you can open any page, whatever page you want to read, you can. By the way, both Who Cheats and How and Corporate Frauds, I mean the left book and the right book, has a full chapter on accounting frauds. Full chapter on accounting fraud. The latest one also has what is the role of auditors for the future, how I see the auditors for the future. So be as it may, I think it will be useful. So let's go and get into some storytelling. Sarita, maybe you can get up from this picture and let me tell you some stories. Okay, so can we hear some stories now? Story hearing mood?
Yes, sir.
from what CS can do, let it keep it aside. Let's hear some stories. Okay, good. A submission is that because I will get into some difficult areas, I think, can we switch off the